What if everything you believed about your life's purpose was just the prologue? Imagine a hidden meaning, a mission, quietly waiting for decades, only to reveal itself when you least expect it, after your 60th birthday. This isn't just an inspiring idea, it's a perspective rooted in the profound reflections of Carl Jung, one of the most enigmatic minds in psychology. But why does this sense of true purpose arrive so late? What changes within us after crossing the threshold into our 6th decade that makes us finally ready for this revelation? These questions are more than philosophical. They're existential puzzles that challenge our very understanding of identity and fulfillment. As youth, we are bombarded by societal expectations. Achieve, build, prove yourself. The chase is relentless, yet deep within, a quiet voice, perhaps suppressed by the noise of ambition, whispers that there must be more. Jung suggested that our real calling, the true mission of our soul, only emerges after we have traversed the landscapes of success and failure, gain and loss. Until then, are we merely actors on a stage, reciting lines written by someone else? But what if the real act, the authentic drama, only begins after the curtain of youth falls? Imagine reaching your 60s and suddenly experiencing an awakening so powerful that it casts everything you've done before in a new light. This is the riddle that Jung invites us to unravel, the paradox of a purpose that matures with age, one that is inseparable from the wisdom and scars gathered over a lifetime. Throughout this video, you'll discover why the search for purpose doesn't end at retirement. It truly begins. We'll reveal stories, symbols, and scientific insights that suggest your deepest mission is still waiting for you. Are you ready to question everything you thought you knew about your life's purpose? You'll find the answer by the end of this journey. Carl Jung wasn't just a psychologist. He was a seeker, a visionary who dared to dive into the unexplored depths of the human soul. Jung's theory of individuation suggests that the first part of our lives is dedicated to building the ego, establishing careers, families, reputations. But after a certain age, often around 60, something shifts. The call changes. The soul asks for more. Why did Jung insist that our truest calling only appears later in life? According to him, youth is a time of imitation. We mimic our parents, teachers, mentors, absorbing beliefs and expectations, like sponges. But this external mission, driven by what others value, rarely satisfies the deeper hunger within. Only after decades of living for others does the authentic self begin to emerge from the shadows, demanding attention. In his later works, Jung spoke of a second birth, a psychic transformation that redefines the meaning of existence. He wrote that as we approach the latter part of our journey, we face a crisis that is both terrifying and liberating. The midlife crisis, often caricatured in popular culture, is really a spiritual call to arms. Jung believed that if we answer this call, a new mission, a mission uniquely ours, reveals itself. But here's the twist. Most people ignore the signs. They cling to the roles that defined them in their earlier years, afraid to confront the unknown. Yet those who dare to embark on this inner quest unlock a depth of purpose that is richer and more profound than anything experienced in youth. In this documentary, you'll see why Jung's message is more relevant than ever in an age obsessed with youth and productivity. By embracing the wisdom of age, we may finally discover what we're truly meant to do. The story of our lives can be divided into two distinct acts. The first, according to Jung, is all about construction, building careers, relationships, identities. We collect trophies, accumulate experiences, and wear a series of masks, each designed to fit the expectations of the world around us. But as the years pass, these masks begin to feel heavy. The applause fades, and a quiet question emerges. Who am I really? Jung warned that the danger of the first half of life is self-deception. We become so invested in our roles, parent, professional, partner, that we lose sight of the person beneath. Society rewards conformity and discourages introspection, but deep within, the true self waits, gathering strength, patiently observing the spectacle. Many people experience a crisis as they approach their 60s. The old rewards lose their shine. The masks crack. This is not a failure, but a necessary prelude to transformation. According to Jung, only when the constructs of the ego begin to crumble do we become receptive to the messages of the soul. The process is uncomfortable, even painful, but it is through this unraveling that our real mission finally emerges. As you watch, consider your own journey. Are you still playing a role written by others, or are you ready to confront the truth beneath the mask? The answer may determine whether you find your life's true mission or miss it entirely. By the end of this series, you'll have the tools and inspiration to embrace the greatest act of all, the discovery of your authentic purpose. What truly changes when the calendar marks your 6th decade? It's not just the number of candles on your cake. It's a profound psychological and spiritual shift. Jung called this period the awakening of the true self. But what does that mean? And why does this awakening wait so patiently, only to emerge at a stage when many feel that their greatest years are behind them? As we cross the threshold into our 60s, many of the external motivations that once drove us begin to fade. Careers wind down, children become independent, the ambitions that once kept us up at night seem less urgent. Yet beneath this surface stillness, a quiet revolution is brewing. Jung believed that only after decades of fulfilling societal roles can we hear the subtle call of the true self. The ego, once essential for survival and success, starts to loosen its grip, making room for deeper questions. What do I want? Shifts to who am I beneath everything I've built. This process is both liberating and terrifying. Some people resist it, clinging to old habits and identities. Others embrace the transformation, stepping boldly into uncharted territory. Jung wrote that those who answer this call find a new wellspring of creativity, empathy, and wisdom. They become more authentic, less interested in pleasing others, and more curious about the mysteries that life still holds. The stories of those who have experienced this awakening are powerful. A retired engineer becomes a passionate painter. A grandmother discovers a calling to help others through volunteer work. These are not random events, but examples of the soul's longing to express itself in its purest form. If you are approaching or have crossed 60, you may already feel this stirring within. If not, the journey is still ahead. Either way, the awakening of the true self is the start of your most authentic adventure yet. What if your deepest purpose has been trying to reach you all along, hidden in your dreams, symbols, and seemingly random events? Carl Jung was fascinated by the language of the unconscious, the mysterious realm where the true self communicates through images, archetypes, and synchronicities. He believed that as we age, the walls between conscious and unconscious become thinner, allowing powerful messages to break through. After 60, many people report more vivid dreams or sudden insights that feel profoundly meaningful. Why does this happen? Jung explained that the unconscious mind, having watched our struggles and triumphs from the shadows, seizes the opportunity to guide us when we are most receptive, typically in the latter stages of life. The midlife crisis is not just a cliché, it is the unconscious demanding to be heard. In this period, the symbols and stories that once seemed trivial take on new significance. A recurring dream about water might point to unresolved emotions. An unexpected fascination with a certain animal or place could be an invitation to explore a hidden part of yourself. Jung advised his patients to pay attention to these signs, treating them as messages from the soul. Ignoring them, he warned, could lead to stagnation and regret. Throughout this episode, we'll explore real-life examples of people who found direction and healing by listening to the language of their unconscious. Their stories prove that it's never too late to decode the signs that have been quietly guiding you all along. By tuning in to your dreams and symbols, you may find that your life's mission is not only waiting for you, but has been calling your name for decades. Every journey into purpose is a journey through shadow. According to Jung, the shadow is the part of ourselves we try to hide or deny. Fears, regrets, suppressed desires. In youth, we often ignore these shadows, focusing instead on achievement and approval. But as the years pass, the shadow grows restless, demanding acknowledgement. After 60, when the outer world becomes less demanding, we finally have the space and the courage to confront our shadows. Jung believed this confrontation is not only healthy, but essential. It is only by facing our forgotten fears and buried pain that we can reclaim the parts of ourselves that hold the key to deeper meaning. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, Jung famously wrote, but by making the darkness conscious. The process is not easy. It can bring discomfort, sadness, even grief for the years lost to self-denial. But within the darkness lies untapped creativity and wisdom. Many people who embark on this inner work in their later years report a sense of relief and freedom. They become less judgmental, more compassionate, both toward themselves and others. In this section, you'll hear stories of people who, in their 60s and beyond, dared to turn and face their shadows. Their transformations are living proof that true purpose is not found in avoiding pain, but in integrating it. By embracing your shadow, you don't just heal the past, you unlock the full potential of your future. The shadow, once feared, becomes a guide, leading you to the meaning you've been seeking all along. What if the universe has always been trying to get your attention, but only after 60 do you finally learn to listen? Carl Jung introduced the concept of synchronicity, those meaningful coincidences that seem almost orchestrated by fate. These moments, which can feel eerie or miraculous, are more than just chance. Jung believed they're signs that the unconscious and the outer world are in mysterious dialogue, especially as we age. Have you ever met someone by accident, only to realize later that the encounter changed your life's direction? Or perhaps, after your 60th birthday, you started noticing patterns, numbers, symbols, repeated events that felt too purposeful to ignore? According to Jung, these are not random at all. In fact, as our lives slow down and distractions fall away, we become more attuned to the universe's subtle signals. But do these signals whisper or scream? Some experience gentle nudges, a dream, a song, a memory triggered by a familiar scent. Others face dramatic turns, an unexpected opportunity, a sudden loss, or an out-of-the-blue revelation. Jung suggested that the intensity of these synchronicities often matches our openness to transformation. The more resistant we are, the louder the signs become. The more we surrender to the journey, the more elegantly the universe reveals our next step. Throughout this episode, we'll hear stories of astonishing synchronicities, ordinary people who, after 60, followed a string of coincidences to find new love, purpose, or adventure. Their journeys remind us that when we finally pay attention, life's greatest mysteries are revealed not by force, but by a dance of fate and awareness. Are you watching for your own signs? By the end, you might realize that the universe has been talking to you all along. Every great myth tells of a hero's journey, a quest filled with trials, transformation, and eventual return. But what if the greatest hero's journey doesn't happen in youth, but in the maturity of life? Carl Jung believed that after 60, we are invited to embark on a new adventure, one that isn't about conquering the world, but about conquering ourselves. In the first half of life, we seek external victories, jobs, relationships, status. But as Jung saw it, the real epic begins later, when we are called to re-evaluate everything we've built. This is not a time for passive reflection, but for courageous reinvention. The mature hero's journey asks us to face regrets, reclaim abandoned dreams, and find meaning in every scar. What does it mean to rewrite your story after decades of playing a certain role? For Some, it's about forgiving past mistakes or mending broken relationships. For others, it's about daring to pursue passions that were once set aside. The process is daunting, but those who accept the call often experience a second wind, creativity, wisdom, and energy they never knew they had. In this documentary, you'll meet individuals who became their own heroes in their 60s and beyond. Their lives defy stereotypes of aging, proving that adventure, romance, and transformation have no expiration date. The question is, will you choose to become the hero of your own mature journey or settle for a story written by others? The choice, Jung believed, is yours, and it's never too late to choose differently. Is old age just a period of decline, or is it the golden age of wisdom? Jung fiercely challenged the notion that our later years are for fading away. Instead, he saw them as a time of unprecedented depth and insight, a stage when the lessons of life finally crystallize into true wisdom. What makes this wisdom unique? For Jung, it's not about the accumulation of facts, but about integration, bringing together all parts of the self, both light and shadow, success and failure. In youth, we strive for answers. In maturity, we learn to live with the questions. The pressure to prove ourselves gives way to curiosity, compassion, and perspective. Jung believed that elders play a crucial role in society, not just as keepers of tradition, but as visionaries who can see beyond the immediate, who dare to ask, what does it all mean? He argued that those who embrace the journey inward after 60 become fountains of guidance for younger generations, precisely because they have faced and accepted life's complexities. In this section, we'll explore how wisdom blossoms in later years and why Jung saw it as the true reward for a life well lived. You'll hear stories of men and women who, far from retreating into irrelevance, became mentors, creators, and leaders in their communities. Their experiences illuminate the power of aging not as an ending, but as the most meaningful chapter of all. What if the very losses that break your heart are the same ones that unlock your purpose? In the later stages of life, we face an emotional landscape unlike any other. The passing of loved ones, the departure of children from home, the unraveling of long-held relationships. And yet Jung believed these emotional earthquakes are not just endings, they are thresholds into something greater. After 60, emotions tend to deepen. Experiences are no longer just events, they become reflections of our inner world. Grief isn't just pain, it's a mirror. Loneliness isn't emptiness, it's space for rediscovery. Jung argued that these intense feelings are not obstacles to our mission, but guides. They strip away illusions and reveal what truly matters. Imagine a woman who loses her partner of 40 years. In her grief, she begins painting again, a passion forgotten in the chaos of life. Through the strokes of her brush, she reconnects with her soul, and soon her art begins to touch others. Or consider a retired teacher who, after his children move away, begins volunteering at a youth center. The absence becomes purpose. Emotions, especially the difficult ones, become transformative fire. Jung taught that ignoring or suppressing them delays our growth. But if embraced, they burn away what no longer serves us, revealing the gold beneath. In this episode, you'll meet people who turned emotional pain into profound purpose and discover how your own feelings might be whispering your next mission if you're brave enough to listen. As the pace of life slows and the noise of ambition fades, a new question often emerges. What is sacred to me? For Jung, this wasn't a religious question. It was existential. He believed that later in life we are drawn toward the numinous, the spiritual, the deeply authentic essence of being. It's not about dogma, it's about connection to self, others, and the universe. Why does this search intensify after 60? Because we finally have the freedom and the need to ask the big questions. The fear of death grows louder, but so does the hunger for meaning. Jung saw this spiritual turn as essential to individuation. the process of becoming whole. Without it, we risk ending our lives feeling unfulfilled, no matter how successful we were. This search might lead some to meditation, others to nature, art, or acts of service. It's a journey inward towards something vast and eternal that has been calling all along. Jung described this as a reunion with the self, the divine center within us all. And once we touch it, our perspective shifts. The past makes sense, the future feels less frightening, and the present becomes sacred. In this segment, you'll encounter stories of people who found spiritual depth in places they never expected. Their revelations will challenge you to ask, what is sacred in your life? What connects you to the eternal? Because in this search, you may just find the missing piece of your true mission. You might think your mission ends with you, but Jung would disagree. He believed that our deepest purpose isn't just personal, it echoes through generations. Even the quietest life can leave ripples that shape the future in invisible ways. After 60, many people begin to wonder about their legacy. But legacy isn't just money or reputation, it's energy. It's the wisdom passed in a conversation, the courage demonstrated in a decision, the love expressed in ordinary actions. Jung called this the collective unconscious, the shared reservoir of human experience. When we live authentically, we contribute something real and lasting to that reservoir. Think of a grandfather who shares his journal with a curious grandchild, planting seeds of curiosity and resilience. Or a woman who starts telling her life story online, inspiring thousands of strangers across the world. These actions may seem small, but their impact can be profound. Jung believed that the soul's mission always outlives the body, and the more aligned we are with our true purpose, the stronger and clearer that transmission becomes. This episode explores how lives lived with intention become blueprints for others, even if we never meet them. The mission of your life, especially when discovered late, can become a lantern for those still lost in the dark. By the end, you'll see how every step you take in authenticity is a gift, not just to yourself, but to the world that comes after. What if, after a lifetime of chasing external achievements, you discovered that the most extraordinary treasures were hidden within? Jung called this the inner revolution, a dramatic shift in focus that often takes place after 60, when outward ambitions lose their shine and the rich tapestry of the inner world reveals itself in full color. For many, this revolution begins as a whisper. Hobbies once considered trivial become sources of joy and revelation. Old wounds, when faced with honesty, transform into wells of compassion and strength. Jung believed that only when we stop measuring ourselves by external standards can we finally appreciate the beauty and wisdom we have cultivated inside. This is when silence becomes music, solitude transforms into peace, and the imagination blossoms in ways never before possible. But the inner revolution is not a withdrawal from life. It is a new engagement. Those who undergo this transformation often find themselves more alive, more creative, and more connected to others than ever before. Freed from the need to impress or compete, they give themselves permission to live according to their own rhythm, discovering that true meaning was waiting patiently just beneath the surface. In this segment, you'll hear powerful stories of individuals who embraced their inner worlds after 60 and found a sense of wonder and fulfillment that no external success could ever provide. Their journeys challenge us all. What are we missing by ignoring the landscape within? By the end, you may realize that the adventure you've been seeking was inside you all along. The world is filled with stories of late bloomers, men and women who, against all odds, found their true calling well after most people thought their best years were behind them. Jung would say this is no coincidence. It is the very nature of the soul's journey. These are stories of rebirth, and they prove that it's never too late to begin again. Meet Samuel, a factory worker who, at 65, decided to enroll in art school. Labeled too old by many, he ignored the naysayers and poured decades of experience and longing into his canvases. Within 5 years, his paintings hung in galleries across the country. Or Maria, who lost her husband at 62. For months, she drifted in grief until she joined a local theatre group on a whim. The stage became her sanctuary, and eventually, her voice began to move audiences to tears. These aren't just anecdotes. They're testaments to the power of listening to the soul's late calling. Jung believed that every human is capable of transformation, right up until the end. The key is courage, the willingness to let go of old scripts and step into the unknown, even when others say it's too late. In this episode, you'll meet people from around the globe who found purpose, passion, and even fame in the final chapters of their lives. Their stories are not just inspirational, they are roadmaps, proving that the journey to meaning can begin at any age, as long as you dare to answer the call. As we reach the end of our exploration, a haunting question lingers. What if it's too late? What if the signs were missed, the chances wasted, the mission never discovered? Jung understood this fear better than anyone, but his answer was clear. It is never too late to become what you might have been. Regret, Jung taught, is a universal part of the human experience, but it does not have to be the end of the story. The true tragedy is not in having missed opportunities, but in refusing to seek new ones. The door to meaning is always open, no matter your age or circumstances. The question is, will you step through it? This final chapter is both a reflection and a call to action. Look at your own life. Where have you hidden your dreams? What longings have you silenced? What passions could still be awakened if you had the courage to listen? The world is full of people who began again. At the very moment others thought they were finished, your mission is waiting, no matter your age. The real secret, Jung's greatest insight, is that awakening is a choice, and it's one you can make today. So as this documentary draws to a close, the invitation is simple. Open the door. The adventure isn't over. In fact, it may be just beginning. As we reach the end of this profound journey, it's impossible not to reflect on the twists and turns that life brings, especially when viewed through the lens of purpose, meaning, and the legacy we leave behind. The narrative we've woven together is not just about the mystery of discovering your life's mission after 60, nor simply the psychological insights of Carl Jung or the moving testimonies of those who found new beginnings when the world thought their story had ended. It's about something much deeper, something that echoes in the very core of our being, the hunger to be seen, to be understood, to matter, and perhaps, most importantly, to be loved. Think back to your earliest memories, the moments when you wondered what you would become, who you would love, and how the world might remember you. These questions, often buried beneath layers of busyness and responsibility, have a way of resurfacing when we least expect them, sometimes after decades have gone by, after life's storms have left us with more questions than answers. In these moments of reflection, a gentle truth begins to emerge. Purpose isn't always loud or obvious. Sometimes it is a quiet whisper, persistent and patient, waiting for us to finally have the ears to listen. Throughout this documentary, we've explored the insights of Jung, who believed that the mission of one's life often appears late when the masks fall away and the heart is ready for honesty. We've seen that it's never too late to begin again, to discover hidden talents, to repair broken relationships, or to step into a calling that had been postponed for far too long. We've witnessed the courage of those who, even in their 70s, 80s, or 90s, have embraced new beginnings, defied expectations, and become beacons of hope for generations to come. But there's another layer to this journey, a dimension that reaches beyond psychology or personal achievement, touching the soul's longing for connection with something greater. There is, woven into every heart, an almost indescribable yearning, a sense that, no matter how much we accomplish, something essential remains just out of reach. Call it the search for meaning, for transcendence, or for the sacred. For some, this is satisfied in the love of family, in the beauty of nature, or in the creative act. For others, It is a longing that persists no matter how many milestones are reached or dreams are fulfilled. At the end of all our striving, we ask, is there something or someone waiting for us beyond the limits of what we can see and touch? It's here, at the intersection of psychology, philosophy, and spirituality, that a remarkable truth emerges, one that has been whispered through the ages, from ancient sages to the quiet moments of personal revelation. Jung himself spoke of the self with a capital S, the center of personality that is not merely ego, but something sacred, infinite, eternal. For many, this intuition leads naturally to questions about God, about love, about the possibility that our lives are not random, but part of a much grander story. Imagine for a moment that your life, with all its joys and sorrows, was not a series of accidents, but the unfolding of a love story greater than any you have ever known. Imagine that, before you ever ask the question, what is my mission? There was one who dreamed of you, who knew your every thought, who counted every tear, and who loved you long before you loved yourself. Across centuries and continents, people have encountered this love in many ways, sometimes in moments of crisis, sometimes in the quiet of a morning sunrise, sometimes in the embrace of a friend, and sometimes in the simple, unshakable conviction that they are not alone. The message at the heart of the Christian faith, and indeed at the heart of John 3:16, is precisely this. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have eternal life. These words, written almost 2,000 years ago, have lost none of their power. They remind us that no matter how far we have wandered, no matter how many years have slipped by, no matter how many mistakes or regrets we carry, there is a love that remains steadfast, a love that offers hope, forgiveness, and new beginnings. Perhaps you are watching this documentary with a heart full of questions. Maybe you are wondering if it's really possible to start over, if you can ever truly discover your purpose, or if the best years of your life are behind you. Maybe you have known loss, disappointment, or loneliness, and you wonder if anyone could truly understand or care. If that is you, hear this. You are not invisible, and your story is not over. There is hope, and there is a purpose for your life, no matter your age, your past, or your circumstances. Throughout history, the people who have changed the world most profoundly were not always the youngest or the strongest, but often those who had known failure, loss, or disappointment, and who found in those experiences the seeds of something greater. Jung recognized that the deepest transformations often come in the later chapters of life, when we are stripped of illusions and are finally able to see ourselves and others with honesty and compassion. But there is something even more beautiful, the realization that the search for purpose is, at its heart, a search for love, for acceptance, and for home. If you find yourself longing for a deeper meaning, a reason that transcends career, accomplishments, or even personal happiness, consider this. Maybe your longing is the evidence of a love that has been pursuing you all along. Maybe your story, with all its brokenness and beauty, is part of a much bigger story, a story written by a loving God who invites you not only to discover your mission, but to know his love personally. Some people spend a lifetime searching for love, only to discover, sometimes late in life, that they were loved from the very beginning. This is the gentle yet radical promise of John 3:16. It is not a message of religion or rules, but of relationship. A relationship with the one who created you, knows you, and calls you by name. The heart of the Christian faith is not about being perfect, earning approval, or living up to impossible standards. It is about accepting the gift of love that has already been offered, freely, generously, without condition. Maybe you have heard the words before, but never truly believed they could be for you. Maybe you have felt that your mistakes disqualified you, or that your time had passed, or that you were too old, too broken, too far gone. But the truth is this: God's love knows no boundaries. His invitation is for everyone, regardless of age, past, or present. The door is always open. All you have to do is accept it. If you are wondering what it means to receive this love, to welcome Jesus Christ as your Savior, it's as simple and profound as saying yes to the greatest love story ever told. It means acknowledging your need, your longing, your imperfections, and trusting that Jesus came, not to condemn, but to rescue, to heal, and to give you a new beginning. It means believing that through his life, death, and resurrection, he made a way for you to know God, not as a distant judge, but as a loving Father. You might ask, what difference would this make in my life? The answer is everything. When you accept God's love, you discover a new foundation for your identity, a new depth to your relationships, a new strength for your challenges, and a new hope for the future. The mission of your life is no longer something you have to invent or achieve on your own. It becomes a partnership with the one who knows you best and loves you most. And so, as we close this documentary, I want to extend a heartfelt invitation. Not just an invitation to like this video, to subscribe to our channel, or to join our community, though I truly hope you will. Because the more people who engage with this message, the more we can share hope, inspiration, and transformation with the world. Your support means everything to us, and it helps this message reach those who need it most. If you felt inspired, moved, or challenged by anything you heard today, please take a moment to hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video with someone you care about. Leave a comment telling us your story, your questions, or how this journey has touched you. We read every message, and we are building a community where no one has to walk alone. But beyond that, I want to invite you to reflect on your own life, your own journey, and your own search for meaning. Have you found your mission? Do you sense there is more waiting for you? Have you ever wondered if you are truly loved, fully, unconditionally, and forever? If you have, know that you are not alone. Millions of people across history have asked these same questions and have found in the person of Jesus Christ a love that changes everything. If you are ready, whether you are 20 or 90, whether you have lived a life of faith or are just beginning to wonder, why not take a step today? Maybe your heart is racing, or maybe there is a quiet peace settling over you. Whatever you are feeling, know that you are welcome. If you want to know this love, to receive Jesus as your Savior, you don't need special words or rituals, just an open heart, a willingness to say yes to the invitation. You might pray something like this: God, I don't have all the answers, but I want to know you. I believe that you love me and that you sent Jesus to show me the depth of your love. I admit that I need your forgiveness, and I want to receive the new life you offer. Help me to trust you, to follow you, and to discover the purpose you have for my life. Thank you for loving me, for accepting me, and for giving me hope. If you prayed that prayer, or even if you are just considering it, I want you to know how deeply you are loved, not just by God, but by a community of people who have walked the same path, who have asked the same questions, and who have found the same hope. Please let us know in the comments or send us a message. We want to celebrate with you, to encourage you, and to walk alongside you as you continue your journey. Remember, your life is not an accident. Your story matters. Every scar, every failure, every success, and every dream are part of a tapestry that is still being woven. No matter where you have been, there is a new chapter waiting to be written. A chapter filled with purpose, with meaning, and with love. Perhaps you're thinking about the years that have passed, the opportunities missed, the words left unsaid. Maybe you feel regret or fear that it's too late. But let me remind you, the greatest stories often have the most surprising endings. The seeds planted in darkness often yield the brightest blooms, and the love you have longed for may be waiting right now for you to open your heart and say yes. Jung once wrote that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. I believe that is true. But even more, the privilege of a lifetime is to be known and loved by the one who created you. If you take nothing else from this documentary, let it be this: you are never too old, too broken, or too lost to be loved, to begin again, or to find your true purpose. Every breath is a gift. Every moment is a chance to choose hope. So, as we end, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining us on this journey. Your presence here matters. Your questions matter. Your story is not finished. The greatest adventure may still be ahead of you. And if you found something valuable today, please help us share this message. Like the video, subscribe to our channel, and become part of a movement that believes in the power of second chances, in the beauty of late beginnings, and in the incredible, unstoppable force of love. If you are searching, keep searching. If you are hurting, know that healing is possible. If you are longing, know that you are not alone. And if you are ready to begin again, to discover your mission, to accept God's love, to embrace the next chapter, know that you are seen, you are valued, and you are loved, now and always. Thank you for watching. Thank you for believing. And thank you for being part of this journey with us. The best is yet to come.